For young guys out there that are maybe wanting to ramp their business up to have 40 odd guys, what's some struggles you've had over the years building your business to what it is now?
The biggest thing is the communication between you and your foreman and understanding that he's the right guy for you. Because if he's not, and you do let him go on a job on his own, it could cost you a lot of money.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the office for this one today because we've got a cracking one for you. We've got Charbel here from Aria Carpentry and Construction. So look, this guy's absolutely nailing it. I've followed him on Instagram for a little while. Seriously, the carpentry work that he smashes out is pretty insane, and I take my hat off to him for having the size business that he does and running 40 odd carpenters, especially in the current environment. So welcome, mate. Thanks for coming on board.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
So, mate, let's jump straight in. You're a pretty young fella. How have you gotten into the industry and then managed to grow into such a large carpentry business?
All right. So, well, look, I went through school. I was always a kid that wanted to get out, get on site, get into that building game. So where I wanted to start in the beginning was get into project management, right? And I asked a few people, what's the steps? What should I do? People like to me, if you want to get your builder's license, you just go to TAFE. You're going to either do a bricklaying course or a carpentry course. You do your Cert 3, then you move into your Cert 4. I said, okay, that sounds pretty good. Which would I choose, carpentry or bricklaying? We went with carpentry. Thought it was a cleaner trade. I like the style, roofs and all that sort of stuff. I love the mathematics behind it. So I got myself into it, enrolled myself into TAFE, and then a couple of months in, found myself a job. With a good chippy, old school chippy, which was very hard on me. There was no mucking around. It was work, no breaks, no nothing. It was just, from the morning till the afternoon. It was hard yakka, which, I do appreciate now, obviously, because it brought me to where I am now. That hard yakka teaches you a bit of a lesson. It gets you to that certain spot, where you're like, I've got to get in now, I've got to move straight quick.
I think it shows. I think it shows in the work you're doing, mate. Like you would have had to have learned old school skills to do like some of the jobs you're doing with these hinge pitch roofs and dormer windows and things. Like you don't see a lot of that.
Yeah. So when I first started my apprenticeship, it was all cut on site. So everything we do is stick built till this day. We still haven't moved into the frame and truss sector. So we work more on custom homes. Our work is high-end custom homes, quality homes. It's hard to get that sort of thing with frame and truss because there is a lot of changes. We deal with clients that, they see something and say, oh, look, can we change this? Can we change that? With frame and truss, you can't just be changing things around. It comes as a package and it's built, it's set, where we have that ability to move things around, have a sit down with the client, look, this could work, that could work. Come back to our engineers, have that discussion with our engineers. We're very involved with dealing with all the different guys to make it happen for the client.
So how did you? So obviously you went through your time. Your boss was pretty hard on you, and I think it's funny when you get to where you are now and you look back because it obviously has got you to where you are. But like what made you decide to go out on your own and have a crack at being a carpenter?
Look, I was always a driven kid. I was always very driven. In my younger age, I was always like, I do want to work for myself. I don't want to be working for someone all my life. I want to have that cracking life. You got one life, let's do it. Pull your socks up, get out there. You're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but it's okay. Just keep that good mindset, keep going forward. Eventually it all comes good. I've always had that mindset, and that my dad drove that into me. Like, mate, get up. My dad pushed me every morning, 5 a.m., get up, I didn't have to be up at 5, but he was up, mate, get up, get ready, get yourself ready, you've got a big day, you got to do this, you got to do that. So my dad did push me, he was always there. It was a good reward when I just seen that it was such a good reward working for yourself. You have a little bit of flexibility, you earn that extra cash, and I just really put my head down, done my 3 years as an apprentice, and then I got qualified, and then just literally just said to my boss, look, man, I'm moving on. I'm going to do my own stuff. And he goes, mate, good on you. He goes, if you ever need anything, down the track, and we'll help you out. And that's it, man. Started off with, got myself one apprentice. We're doing very small jobs. And then picked up another job. I said, man, I need another guy. Pick up another apprentice. And then from there, man, it just kept going and going and going. Got to about 7, 8 guys, and then I had about a good team. 7, 8 guys. Everything was going well. and I just picked up more and more work. And then the clients that we were doing work for just kept giving us more and more work. And then we were picking up new clients. So we built a brand, we built a brand. People started hearing, these guys are getting in and out. They're smashing the jobs up quick. That's one thing that everyone knows us for. Like, we give a very good quality at a very fast pace,
So how do you
pace. So, sometimes.
how do you manage, like, so you said you've got 40 odd blokes at the moment. Like, how do you manage to, well, for a start, find 40 decent carpenters, but then I assume you have them spread out over multiple jobs?
Yeah, yeah. So over the years, it was more. So when we first started, it was word of mouth. We bring one guy, look, yeah, he's good, he's good. But what it was is the main thing was the training. We never had a carpenter come in that was sort of at my level where I could be like, okay, mate, go do this job for me. I'm going to give you 2, 3 guys. There wasn't really much guys out there that were at our level that were still working for someone. If they were at our level, they were doing their own thing, the same thing what we were doing. They had 3, 4 apprentices with them and moving on. But I had a bigger vision than that. I said, look, I don't want to just be that guy that has 4 or 5 guys or 7, 8 guys, and I'm always there, having to bark at them, tell them, mate, you got to do this, you got to do that. So I sort of molded it around where I said, I'm going to teach these guys. So eventually, I'm going to give them a job. I'm going to give them a status as a site foreman, as a site manager, and then I started to restructure my business where I really noted out the few guys that I knew that had it in them, and I put some more time and effort into them. And it was a lot of time after work where they'd come off site. We'd sit down, we'd look at the plan, and I'm all about colouring and getting everything set up and drawing out everything on the paper before getting on site. Because realistically for us as a stick build, when we come to do our cutting lists, right, we're pretty much working out the whole job in the back end, writing down everything that we're going to do, and then getting to site and understanding it.
Yeah.
So I realized that, that's where it's hard to teach guys on site because you're always on the go and you're trying to get it up quick and you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. And you're like, mate, I'm not really learning everything. So I started to pull the guys off site and I'm like, come sit with me in the office and let's really have that time. If you ask me a question, I can explain to you in detail. Like, well, let's draw something up. Let's do calculations on how to calculate a roof. Let's do all this stuff together. And then I did choose a handful of guys. And then from that, I was able to divide them up and start to create team after team after team. So we run 5 teams. Sometimes we run 6 teams.
I think,
so our team,
mate, to have that mindset, because to be honest, you look like a young fella. Like, to have that mindset, because that's what it's all about. And like, I struggle with that in my building business, but like, I'm really big on the pulling the team aside, team meetings, because you're right. Like, we get so snowed under in just the running and the trying to get things done that people don't always get taught what they need to be taught. So like, you obviously saw the power in that and the value in putting that time into your staff, because it's paying back tenfold now, because you've been able to set up 5 or 6 teams that can now run things, which allows you more time to step back and chase more work, I guess.
Definitely. And like, we've sat down and we've worked things out on pen and paper, and now we've moved into softwares. We use the software now where I'll do all my markups, so it's nice and clear. And I draw lines and create all these different things where it just makes it so clear for these guys to understand. And so our structure of our teams is we've got our site manager, site foreman, and then we've got 2 leading hands underneath him. And then from there, we start to build off our 4th year, 3rd year, 2nd year, 1st year apprentices. So the site foreman deals with the clients, deals with all the sorts of things on site, any problems, and he's there to grind with the guys. And then and he's got his 2 leading hands to lean back on when he needs to say, okay, guys, I'm going to frame this side of the unit. One in hands, take 2 guys, 3 guys, go over to that side, start framing out this unit. And they work within each other where he's got that capability to lean on them, which that was another part of the structure I wanted to build. I just didn't want to leave a site foreman with 8 apprentices. It gets difficult. There'll be a lot of guys standing around, and that's where we get our efficiency, where these little things that we do, where we have that little bit of structure within our business, makes us efficient and makes us quick, and when you've got a leading hand overseeing 2, 3 apprentices, your quality does become better.
I think that can be an area where a lot of builders and tradies can go wrong, because that's where a lot of added extra unnecessary pressure comes in. Like, if you've got lead people on site or very qualified people on site, and they're having to hold everybody's hand and teach everyone and fix things up, like they begin to lose their passion, which then shows in their quality of work and their attitude around work and those types of things. So I think that's a really good structure to have, where you've because one thing I really hate in this industry is you see all types of trades that might have themselves and another tradesman, and they'll have 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 apprentices, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it just puts everyone under pressure,
yeah.
and
It
the
definitely
apprentices
does.
don't get taught properly.
That's right. That's right. And what, like last year we had a lot of rain, right? Last year was ridiculous. We had 100, I think it was around 120 days of rain last year. It was terrible. Like we weren't getting able to get some days into work. Like we lost so much of the year. So I did take advantage of it, where I brought each individual team in, and before they started the job, because we had so many rain, I said, mate, let's not go home. Let's come over to the office. Let's get into the boardroom. Let's put up the plans of the job that's coming up, and let the whole team understand what's going on. Even if it's the first year apprentice, let him ask a question. Let him put his hand up, in the boardroom and say, why do we do this? Let him have an understanding. And then once you get that little bit of input from everyone, you start to understand each person's character. And when you start to understand the characters, you understand where to position them in the business.
Yeah,
So
and it makes your team members feel like they're part of something too. Like they're not just turning
yeah,
up, kicking their boots around every day. But mate, I think it's awesome. Like you mentioned that you do all your color coding and your cutting lists and things. Like I think that's a really good sign of a successful business and a business that's got systems and processes. Because again, you don't want to be turning up to site the day you're starting a frame and having to be standing there scratching your head, looking at drawings, trying to figure everything out.
I learned from my lessons, where I got to the site one day, I was scratching my head. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? And I said, no, I got to put an end to this. This is like, we're losing time here. Time is money. We've got to get this job up. We've got other jobs waiting for us. We don't want to let people down.
You were saying before we started recording, so I actually thought you were just doing all the labour, but you're actually supplying. You said you're doing the like all the like the stick frame and roof framing. You're doing structural steel, and I think you said you're even doing some cladding as well, where you're supplying all the materials. Like that's a pretty big risk. So like I imagine over the last couple of years, you've probably taken a few hits with the jobs you've had on.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it was a tough time. When COVID started, everyone knew about the price hikes in timber, and it was continually going up month by month. And like I was telling you earlier, yeah, we had locked in jobs, and as we started, we started on a price, and then within a month, materials gone up. And if we've done the first stage where we've done the frames and done the floor for the guys, and we're waiting for the builder to erect the scaffold, erect the party wall, get the site ready for us for the second stage, we've lost a month there, and then we've gone into the second hike of the timber going up. So it was very hard at the time, because we are a supply install business. And it was very difficult. We did lose money on multiple jobs, and then we had to start having the talks to our clients and say, look, man, this is what's happening. You can see this is what's happening, and we need a break here. We can't just keep losing. We understand business is a win and lose, but we can't continuously keep losing. We need to have that chat. We need to sit down. We need to have a meeting. We need just to understand where we're coming from, and especially at the time of the shortage, being such a big business in the carpentry industry in Sydney, New South Wales, we did have like a lot of rights to the timber, because we are the biggest guys out there, and everyone was being like, we've got to keep supporting these guys, because in good times and bad, you got to support the guys that are that are the big times. So we weren't really let down with supply, but it was just controlling the price hike.
Yes.
And our builders, were very fortunate to have someone like us that was able to get that sort of supply for them, because some guys were sitting with slabs free for months because they couldn't get material on site. And we were there doing that, and we pushed through that time and made it happen for all these clients we're working for.
Yeah. So what's your structure with that? Like, so a lot of your work is taking on basically all the carpentry tasks, structural steel, claddings on a job for a builder. So like, are the builders sending you? I assume they're sending you plans and scopes of work, and then like you have to put in the time, do all the takeoffs, work out all the materials, and then what sort of structure do you have with the builders you work for, like contractual wise? Like, do they give you work orders? Do you provide them information? Like, how's it all work?
So what they do, they obviously send us structure. They send us the architectural plans, structural plans, and then we sort of have sit down and scope through the job. You know, what do you guys want us to include? You want us to do stick build the whole way through, no structural steel, with structural steel. You want us to include cladding, you want us to include the e-lining, and then we sort of put the whole scope together, and then we push that back into our office once we've got the scope, and we run our numbers. Obviously, we run our linear meter rates, our square meter rates, all that sorts of stuff. We put that all together, and then that spits out the price, and then we've got a contract between them. Obviously, we send off our quote, and everything that's inclusive in our quote is obviously what we do.
Yeah. So did you have any? Did you eventually put any clauses in over the last 2 years that sort of covered your ass with the price increases? Because like I know, like the typical thing is that most builders, like when you lock a price in, like it is what it is. But like I know with all the subbies we use over the last few years, man, like we had to come to the party with some of those price increases because we want our subbies to be profitable and have great businesses. Like how were you dealing with that? Were you talking to your builders, putting in clauses to cover those price increases in the end?
Yeah, so after like I said before, after the first couple, we realized, look, we're not making money on these jobs because they're running into the next month of the price increases, and then we had to sort of put a pause. We actually put a pause on our works and said, look, this is what's happening. We need you to understand that this is what's going on. And then what we were doing from that, we were actually taking the price rise letters from our suppliers and then handing that over to the guys and saying, look, as of this month, this is a 12% increase. And then we're like, okay, guys, this is directly from the supplier. I'm not pulling your leg. I'm not trying to make some more money here, but this is exactly what's happened. And then that was our communication. Every time we received that price rise letter from our suppliers, we'd hand that down to our builders, and the builders would be like, okay, we understand, thank you, and then put that margin back on top of the job.
Yeah, yeah, mate.
And look,
Look,
it was a tough time as building as well, tough time for the builders as well, where everything was just going up mad, and it was crazy times. That was finding it very hard to understand, where I'm telling them I was paying $4 a meter, I'm now paying 8 to 9. They're going, there's no way you're paying 8. I'm like, mate, here are all the price increase. I'm not putting your leg. It was a tough time.
oh man, the price increases in the last 2 years, like especially, I think last year was the worst. Like they just kept coming and they were huge. But look, for anyone that's listening, if you haven't seen these guys' Instagram page, check them out. Aria Carpentry. Like I just think I'm blown away, mate, that you price up the supply and the labor for. Like I see there's one job on the Instagram page, like it's a massive house, all hand pitched roof, bloody octagons and dormers with curved roofs on them. Like you obviously have a passion for what you do, but I imagine you spend a shitload of time in your office trying to figure these things out, how many man hours it's going to take, how much labor it's going to take. Like it's you've got to be passionate to put that time and effort in, don't you?
Yeah. There's a lot, especially that job there. There was a lot of time and effort that we put into it. Like you said, we pretty much in the tender process, we pretty much ran the job like we had the job. We went had to do the takeoff of the whole job, and that took us a while to take that whole takeoff, And obviously you got your buffer where you've got your wastage that goes into the through, You obviously do the takeoff, and then there's wastage that comes behind that. And then there's some things that you don't pick up. And we went through it night over night, which the foreman that I allocated to that job, and it was something that he hadn't done before. And I said, look, I'm by your side. I'm by your side. If you do get stuck, I'm there with you. And which did happen. I had to get out there on sometimes the job, and there was some difficult parts of that job where we got stuck, and we had guys standing around going, wait, scratching our heads. We're losing labor here. We've got to hit our budget. This is how many days we budgeted for the job, and then that's what dragged us back into the office in the afternoon after that day. And mate, we need to solve this tonight, because if we get back there tomorrow, we're going to be losing too much money, too many guys standing around. So, that's how it was. And that's how you just learn from that, where you always got to take that step back. You got to visualize it. You got to sit back in the office in a calm place. You got to map it out, and you always get it. You always get it. And like you said, it is the passion that gets you through.
That
very passionate about it.
Like a lot of the work you do is pretty pretty full on. So imagine like you're working for pretty quality builders. And I think like the builders, to have someone like yourself that is prepared to take on that risk, especially on a house like that one, like it's got to be a bit of a stress relief for the builder. But like, is the builders on those types of jobs on site all the time, like helping your guys out and problem solving and that sort of thing, or do you just rock up and the job's basically yours until you finish the framing?
The thing is, you know how it is in building industry. Everyone works in a different sort of way. Everyone's got their own ways of doing things, and at the end of the day, so for us, we work with many builders, and a lot of them work differently. So where I've structured the business is to keep each individual team with the same builder. I don't try chop and change. So when they get into the system that builder likes to work with, they go back to his job the first, second time, the third job, the fourth job, and they're like, we've done this 4 jobs prior. We understand how this guy works. And then we move on to another client, and it's the same thing where this guy works different to the other client, but the same team's doing both their jobs. So they understand this is the way that this client does it. It's all personal preference. It all works. At the end of the day, it's all by code, but there's certain ways that people like to do things. And that's why I've kept the structure where one team is to be consistent with one builder or 2 builders. So I've structured it where each team carries 4 or 5 builders, and that keeps them busy for the whole year. And the same thing over the 5 teams that we have, 4 to 5 teams that we have.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
a really good.
yeah,
That's a really good way of doing it, I think, because like you say, like every builder's got their own way of doing it. If that builder, like I see huge value in that as a builder. Like if you're working, if you know every job, you're going to have the same team turning up that you can communicate with. You don't have to keep telling them the same thing over and over again. Like that's so much value. So like you're really just this big value add to a builder. Like you're coming in, you're taking on all the carpentry service of the job, you're providing materials, you're doing a fixed price contract, and you're also doing a lot of problem solving when it comes to the hand pitching the roofs and those types of things. So, mate, what's some issue like for young guys out there that are maybe wanting to ramp their business up to have 40 odd guys? Like, I'm sure you've had some struggles. Like, what's some struggles you've had over the years building your business to what it is now?
Yeah, over the years, there's been a lot of struggles. Like I said to you, there's been a lot of times where you've given guys the opportunity, like performance. Starting that foreman off, they still need a lot of work. Starting them off in that position, like I said to you, I don't have many guys that just walk in and they've been doing it for 10, 15 years and I can just let them go and say no worries. And I have full trust in them. The biggest thing is the communication between you and your foreman and understanding that he's the right guy for you. Because if he's not and you do let him go on a job on his own, it could cost you a lot of money. If he does something wrong, like I said, we do supply and install, mate, to rip down something that you paid for, labor hours and material, it costs you a lot of money. And then it just doesn't become efficient for you to run a business anymore. And, you just feel like, oh, no, mate, this is not for me. So choosing the guys is one of the biggest things, we had to struggle with, and also training them to that position. It's not just training them with the skills, but it comes down to a mindset, and a personality sort of thing as well, because, they're not just dealing with actually cutting a roof or building a stick frame, right? They're dealing with, you've got 8, 9 guys on site with you. You're dealing with management of keeping those guys busy. You're dealing with clients, that different clients that like things different ways. You're dealing with problem solving. There's a lot more to just a guy being able to, frame up something. There's got to be a lot of management skills. There is times where, where everything does pause and he needs to get on the phone to the client and say, mate, like your concrete is stuffed up here. We've got to do something about it. And then we start problem solving for the concreter. And then the bricklayer's done this and you've got to start problem solving for the bricklayer. And then you end up saying, mate, I'm sort of being the builder here, aren't we? And that's what we fall into the trap most of the times as chippies, because everything revolves around us. We build the whole frame and everyone follows in. So our eye for detail needs to look into all these other aspects. We've got to make sure this is how the roof treater likes his roof patterns done, or this is the way we've got to set the fascia for him. The drip rocker needs all these blockings in certain spots to make sure all of this stuff. So there's a lot more to it, where you could think someone is capable and then come and start understanding that these are all the other aspects that they need to deal with as well, and go through that struggle where they say, shit, he's probably not the right guy. Our biggest struggle is the labor. Labor's the biggest thing for us.
How do you deal with those situations when the slab is wrong or the bricklayer's done something wrong? Like, because like you're there as a carpenter, like, do you do variation to the builder? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's what happens. Look, if it's look, variations are a thing that builders don't like. Everyone knows that, they don't like to have to put in a variation. Everyone knows that, you can't be charging a variation. And it always comes back to like, look, man, I've been giving you so much work over the years, and you're going to charge me something that's small. And those things, tend to we tend to let them slide. But in some cases, when there's some big issues, you've paused and slab levels are out. We've got to put out the laser level, and we just got to laser level a whole bottom frame to make sure our floor's right. That's things where we're like, look, man, we've got to send you a variation for this. Like, we're running out 30 mil over 6-7 meters. We just can't run our floor on top of that. It's not possible, When your timber floor guy comes in, he's going to be like, what the fuck's going on here? What's happening here?
Because it's
what's
a hard,
and it's just like,
it's a hard one, because you're like for me as a builder, our team do everything. So like if things happen on site like that, I have to sort it out. And a lot of the time as a builder, I end up wearing it. So like if you're having a variation that the slab's wrong or brickwork's wrong, it's not like that's something that the builder can go back to the client. That's something that the builder, I don't know, there's been not enough supervision, or he's had another trade that's buggered something up. So it's going to be coming out of the builder's pocket. But my view is I don't see why you as the carpenter should be out of pocket because the concrete or the bricklayer stuffed up. Like that's they should be taking more pride in their work.
That's another struggle that we go through. That's another struggle.
Yeah, because you're probably dealing with the same trades on every job. So like you don't want to be saying, hey, the slab's fucked, and passing the builder on a variation, and the concrete's got the shits with you on the next job. So it's a bit.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You build a relationship with the guys, and you're like, man, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but mate, we're copping it back here.
Yeah. So do you like building relationships? Is that been a big part of your business, like dealing with all the other trades on site and learning how they work so that you can work your team better? Like, do you think relationships has played a big part in you being able to get to 40 plus guys and run multiple projects?
Yeah, look, relationships is a big thing. Relationships is a big thing. But look, the main thing for me is I'm a big control freak. So when it comes to like getting my guys on the site, I do all the spot checks. I do the spot check over the concrete. I do the spot check over the bricklayer. I do all of this stuff. So when my guys get on site, they've got an easy run. And this is where I come back to efficiency. I'll do all these things before we run into a problem. I'll do all the problem solving before we run into it. I'm always overseeing. I have late nights in the office. I'm overlooking this. Now we've got systems in place where our project managers in the office send out an email a week before the job's ready, 2 weeks before the job's ready, 3 days before the job's ready. These are the checklists we need to see back from our builders with photos to make sure that there is going to be no problems. We're going to get in and out on our time frame, like we said, and I push the guys. I push my guys real hard, and when I'm there working with them to make sure that all these problems aren't in their face, and that's a big part of why our business is so successful, because of these things. It's just the little things that we do, that make us that little bit extra.
So how strict are you with your builders? So if you're sending those emails out and you're wanting photos and things back, like, are you writing that into some sort of contract to say, hey, these are all our checklists. If we turn up to site and this is wrong or that's not ready, you'll be charged with this variation, that variation. No.
That's right. And that's what we do. We push that. But look, it happens. We push to do that. But let me give you the other side of the story. We've got 40 guys which are scheduled in. We've allowed to be scheduled in for that day. We've just finished the job. I've got a team of 8 guys ready to go into this job, but it's not ready. The site's not clean. There's a few things that need to happen. For us to shift that team in another place, it's very difficult. So this is where we get stuck. We're like, man, the first time we let it go, like, when we got there, we cleaned the site for you. We've got it prepared. Second time it happens, like, mate, it's the second time it's going on. Like, you've got to get more organized. And eventually they get to the point where, like, we've done this to, we just make them aware. We make them aware the first time. We make them aware the second time. Come the third time, we're like, we've got email trail on the back end. We've showed you guys that this is what we expected from you guys. We've come to twice. It hasn't been ready for us. Third time, look, we do have a relationship with you, but it's costing us money, and you need to understand that.
So is it third time you're out? No more jobs for that builder?
No, we're not. We're not out, but that's where we go. Look, man, we're going to have to charge you for this. We're going to have to charge you for this. Yeah. And I understand how it is, with the building industry, the same thing, lack of labor. We work with big businesses where their site performance don't get organized, or, it all comes back to, like you should have notified this guy, you should notify that guy, and a lot going on. And, you know, contract prices on the books have come down so much. They've got a foreman running through 3, 4 jobs, and they tend to miss things at times. As a builder myself, I understand that as well. So I do give them a bit of leniency in that sense, where I might back off a little bit. You know, I don't go as hard because I understand how it is. You know, you're stuck into a contract. You know you're about to lose money on a job. You're trying to spread your expenses out to sort of come out even, and you work with individual guys sometimes. But like I said, in business, there's good and there's bad. You know, you can't always have a good run.
So how many so do you do your own builds, or you're mainly just supplying carpentry to other builders?
We do our own builds as well. We do our own builds as well.
Yeah.
So
And do
yeah,
you
we do. Yeah, 1 or 2 projects a year is just enough.
yeah. And so mate, what advice do you give to any young fellas out there that are thinking about becoming a tradie? Like what's your tips for getting into the industry and finding a passion?
Yeah, so the advice I'd give is, you know, make sure you really enjoy the job that you do. Make sure you enjoy the trade. Make sure that you know it's something that you can see yourself doing in the future, and definitely look into saying to yourself, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Look, what I say, I bring in there's a lot of first year apprentices that come in here, and the first question I ask them is, why did you choose carpentry? You know, what is it about carpentry that you enjoy? And you get a lot of answers back, like, I like it's you get the frame, I get a lot of silly ones. Yeah, I get to use a nail gun all day. I go, yeah, nail gun's fun at times. Nail gun's fun, but you need to enjoy. A lot of them say like, I want to enjoy building. I like to see the structure come up. It's a clean trade. There's a lot of thinking involved, and it could potentially move me into the building industry. So that's one of the first questions I ask, and advice for them is make sure that you're not walking into something that you're not gonna enjoy, because it is a tough trade. It is a lot of hard yakka work. If you're not built for that hard yakka work, it may not be the thing for you. It's tough work. You're lifting up beams all day, and you get up on the roof, and then you're walking up and down ladders. It is a tough job. It is a very tough job. So then I'll give them that advice before they start. I said, look, this is what's involved. Are you keen? Yes. They say, yes, we're keen. That's it. It's good. Let's get out there, man. Let's have a good experience. You don't have to stick to it if you don't enjoy it the first year. You've got a 1 year of being a first year apprentice. It is a tough time, but you could pick up a lot. If you're a bright person, you could pick it up in a year's time. You could pick up the basics of it and then start moving forward.
So, mate, how do you keep the culture going with 40 odd guys? Like, how do you keep that team culture and morale, and like everyone? Like, obviously they're split in different groups and things, but I'm assuming every now and then you all get together and whatever. But like, how do you keep that culture growing?
Ooh. The culture with us, being such a big business, we do have a lot of guys. And over the years, we've had guys that don't get along with each other, and we've shifted those guys around, and we've moved them to this team, to that team. But for me, it's the biggest thing for me is the mutual respect between one another. You guys are there together as a team. As a team, you got to have mutual respect. I understand this guy's a first year apprentice and this guy's a tradesman, but at the end of the day, without the first year there that day, mate, you guys are going to struggle. So you got to respect the fact that you got him there for you. And we've got the tradesman there that day, you're going to struggle. So you need to have that mutual respect between each other, where you all understand your positions, and you all understand, if I was to pull this guy out of the team today, you guys would struggle, and you don't want to be struggling day to day. And they understand, where I've done that in the past and said, look, mate, if you aren't getting along, I'm going to pull 2 guys out and tell me how you guys feel about it. And they're like, oh, okay. No. We did struggle that day. We understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, because that is one of the hardest parts of being a boss, isn't it? Like, just managing everyone, because everyone's got different personalities and opinions and work ethics and all types of things. So yeah, it can definitely be a struggle as an employer to manage all those different expectations and opinions and things on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It's a full-time job, understanding, every single guy's personality, and then every time I have a review of my guys, I ask them, how you guys traveling, what do you got set for your future? Where are you moving forward? What are your goals for your next couple of months? What do you want to learn? And we've got a sheet where we record all this stuff every time we have a review. And I've broken it down into, broken down to frames, floor, and then you've got the functionality as well that we've run into it. And I've broken it down, and I give them a rating. So there's a site foreman, 1 out of 10 for each individual breakdown. And then there's a rating the site foreman gives a rating, their personal opinion on how they And then we tally that up and look and say, mate, you're sitting about 60% here. We want to get you to 90%. What are we going to do? Type this up, say, okay, this is what we're going to work on. This is what we're going to get you to work on. We hand that back to the foreman, and then we sort of give them a target. We keep pushing them, to thrive more for themselves. We're constantly pushing our guys to have self gains, which work within our business. That's the biggest part of having the culture in your business. That's what drives the guys to consistently work harder and push more and want to achieve more, because we're constantly pulling them in and saying, mate, you're lacking off here. Why? I don't want to see this lacking off. Or you need support here. Let's give you that support. Let's get you up to where you need to be. And they really appreciate that. When they come in and they go, man, this is such a good thing that I'm understanding where I'm like. And it all comes back down to having that sit down offsite, having that chat to them, and and they're going, okay, now I'm going to go home. I've got the weekend to think about what I need to work on, and I'm going to come to work on Monday hungry for this.
I think that's I love the fact that you said you have those one-on-one meetings, but more importantly that you're asking them their goals, and you've got some sort of rating system, because that's just showing that you're invested in them and you want them to do well. And when you give people that sort of feedback and you take the time and show them that you're interested in them, they get more invested in your business. They really become a key player, and they know that you're helping them develop, and they know that you're wanting them to achieve certain things. So that sort of stuff pays back tenfold in your business.
Yeah, definitely does. I've seen it over the years where I've pushed guys so hard to the point where I'm just constantly driving them up the wall. I said, mate, I want to see you do better. I don't want to see you go backwards. And they really respect that fact where I'm really pushing them to become a better person of themselves. And that comes back to the personality thing where I understand where one guy's down, another guy's up. I always want to bring everyone up to that level. But the big thing is when you bring guys up, sometimes, they take a bit of advantage, and you've got to put them back down and go, look, take it easy. We've stepped you up, but you can't be going around barking too many orders out of position. You got to take it easy. We're working on you, but you can't bring other people down. The business. Everyone needs to understand their position, and that's why we've built an org chart to get everyone to understand their position. So each individual team has an org chart drawn up. This is the foreman, 2 leading hands, and this is the next guy in charge, and it comes all the way down. Yeah,
that's so awesome. What's what's the plans for Aria? Are you happy with the 40 odd guys? Do you have plans to grow that? Do you have plans to get out of Sydney? Or are you're pretty happy with where things are going?
Look, we're pretty happy where it's at the moment now. We're pretty happy. Look, there's always things to work on, and there's always more systems that we need to do, and there's a lot more that we can make better. And I've sort of started to work more on systems and procedures and getting all that stuff right before I take that next step, either grow or move into another client base. So we're pretty standstill at the moment now with the team. We're not looking to grow it any more than it is. We're not looking to downsize the team. We're pretty happy. It's a good standstill now. What we're looking to do is take on a lot more high-end work where, like we were talking about earlier, like the homes on our Instagram and our Facebook and that. That was a huge hunt, That was a big bulk that we done. We were very proud of ourselves. Came over the top. The client was absolutely over the moon with the work that we gave him. And we're just going to keep looking for more work like that. We're just going to keep consistently keeping guys happy, and anyone that sees the work or calls in for a referral off that client would definitely be scoring a lot more work like that.
Yeah, no,
we like that big scale.
No, look, mate, that's it's been an awesome chat. Thanks very much for your time, and keep smashing it out. I think seeing the quality of that carpentry work on the Instagram and the doing all the old hand pitch roofs and the stick framing, it's almost a bit of a dying art. So mate, keep up the awesome work, keep smashing it out, and look, for anyone out there that hasn't checked out the guys, we'll put some links up. Make sure you go and check out their Instagram, and appreciate your time, mate. Keep smashing things out.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for having us. It was a good chat.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.